Hey guys, and welcome back to Battlefront Updates. Today I wanted to talk about something a little bit different. Battle Royale games and Star Wars. Could it work? Well, both Star Wars games and Battle Royale games are very popular right now, and since I currently only play Battle Royale games and Battlefront, I thought it would be fun to discuss the idea if they were combined and if it would work and if it's realistic to even expect that. And I think I can answer that last question. First off, do I think there will be a Battle Royale game in Star Wars? No, I don't, because I don't think Lucasfilm would think that fits the Star Wars universe, and I just don't really think it's something in the works right now at least, because Battle Royale games are kind of growing quickly at the moment, so maybe sometime in the future. But first off, what is a Battle Royale game? Because I think many of you watching this video might not even know what it is. So from now on I will be showing some player unknown Battlegrounds gameplay in the background, which is the most popular Battle Royale game right now and a game that I've become heavily addicted to. So the simple premise is that you spawn on a huge map with X amount of other people. In this game you spawn with 100 other people and you get to jump out of the plane when you feel like it, and then you can parachute down and find military camps, bunkers or just houses to loot. And what I find so exciting about this game is that every game is so different. It's not a game where you play with the same weapon all the time because you like it. You simply play with whatever you can find. So sometimes maybe you find an AK with a silencer and ACOG scope, and the next time maybe you find a sniper with an A-time scope. So every playthrough is going to be completely different because you won't find the same weapon every time. I mean, sometimes you're lucky and find a lot of weapons and then you can pick and choose whatever you prefer. But generally speaking, every game is most often different. And as I mentioned, you can have a bunch of attachments to the weapons, and the simple goal is to be the last man standing. You can play this either solo, duos or in a 4-man team. And no matter which one you choose, you simply gotta be the last team or last alone person to be alive. The game area constantly becomes smaller because of an electrical field that grows smaller and smaller, and if you stay in the electrical field you take damage, meaning that you can't stay there for very long or you will die. So this means that you can't just sit in a corner of the map and camp the entire game and win. Well, if you're extremely lucky and the final save zone ends up on you, well, then you can do that. But the odds of that are very slim, because the final area is always different, which is also another thing that adds a lot of variety to this game. So you can't have perfect strategies for every end zone, because they are gonna be different every time. And next off, what is it that I like so much about this game and how does it compare to something like Battlefront? Because they are completely different games, although they are both shooters. Well, in Battlefront, getting a kill isn't that exciting. Like, you get a kill and say, hey, nice, I got a kill, that's about it, let's keep going. And then you die and you respawn and you keep going. Whereas in a game like Battlegrounds, every single kill gives you a lot of satisfaction because you know you took another player out of the game that has to find a brand new game to keep on playing. And if you do happen to win, which has only happened to me once so far, it really feels good to know that you were the best among 100 players in this game. And the actual firefights are so intense in this game because sometimes you can be looting for 15 minutes before you engage in a firefight, and that really gets your heart pumping a lot compared to if you shoot someone every 10 seconds. In that case, every firefight isn't really a big deal. And it's also immensely more fun to play with friends compared to Battlefront, and that's probably because Battlefront doesn't have a lot of team play elements, no squad system or nothing like that, whereas in Battlegrounds you need to constantly work together with your teammates to make sure that you cover all angles, revive each other, give each other the loot you need, such as bandages, heals and all that kind of stuff, meaning that it's more enjoyable to play with friends, whereas Battlefront I don't mind playing alone. So how could this possibly work in Star Wars then? Or could it even? Well, this is simply a theoretical thing I want to talk about, and as I mentioned, I doubt it's gonna come anytime soon, if ever, to Star Wars, but I think it's fun to discuss the idea nevertheless. And what inspired me to talk about this is when you look at things like Rebels and the Clone Wars series, we sometimes have these small skirmishes where a couple of clones need to infiltrate a droid base, or things like that, where you don't just have 1,000 clones versus 1,000 droids on an open huge battle, but you actually have some sneaky warfare. And sure, it's not like Battle Royale, it's not like they drop down 100 clones and the last one has to survive, but I was mostly thinking about the gameplay elements and the fact that the sneaky gameplay could definitely fit in Star Wars, because not all battles are grand scale open battles. although that's what most people think about when they think about Star Wars. So let's say we take some of the stuff from Battlefront, both the current one and some of the stuff they've talked about for the next one, and put it in a Battle Royale game. So you drop down 100 players on a huge map on, let's say, Fallujah. And at the start you have nothing, so you gotta run around and look for those blasters or maybe some thermal detonators. And something I wanted to note here is that in the Battle Royale games, explosives are quite rare, and when you get them you usually just have 1 or 2 of them. So if you find like a thermal detonator here, I was thinking that, well, then you only have 1 thermal detonator. It wouldn't be like a star card in Battlefront where you can just throw it over and over. And I also think ammunition is very important here, and that you can't just get a blaster and shoot as much as you want, because ammunition is a huge part of these games where you loot as well. But since they have said that the next game will have things like attachments and customizable blasters, that would fit perfectly here as well, because that's something we have in games like Battlegrounds. So maybe you find an E11 with a special scope and then a thermal detonator. And I was also thinking that some star cards could fit in the game, like a jump pack or a shield, but make sure they have a quite large cooldown and it's not something where people will jump around like crazy, and also make sure that they are rare. And something that both H1Z1 and Battlegrounds has is loot drops, or basically some big crates drop down from the sky during the game multiple times, and the first one to get there will get some juicy loot. In this case it could be something like a pulse cannon, it could be a smart rocket, or maybe even an orbital strike. Something that will give you a lot of power but that has limited uses and you can't use it over and over. And the fun thing about these loot crates is that you can see them a couple of minutes before they drop down, or sometimes just 30 seconds, which means that a lot of people usually go for these and there's often a big battle. When you do go for these loot crates, you often get shot or kill someone else before you get the loot, unless you're very lucky and found one that doesn't have any nearby enemies. So what about vehicles then? That's something that a lot of Battle Royale games have, and something that you usually need in order to get to the safe zone. Well, there's a lot of vehicles that could fit in the Star Wars universe. We have speeder bikes, tauntauns, well, all depending on which map it would be on. But I don't think there should be any vehicles that can actually be deadly like a tank. I mean, sure, speeder bikes can run someone over, that's fine. That's what you can do with the cars in Battlegrounds as well. But I don't think there should be vehicles that can shoot. I mean, the speeder bikes can shoot though, but you're very vulnerable on a speeder bike, and it's not like you're sitting protected in a tank and shooting. So I think some of those lighter vehicles would fit very well in a game like this. But yeah, I think you're starting to get what I'm aiming for with this video. Is there a lot of questions that are hard to answer regarding this combination? Yes, definitely. Like, what kind of troopers should there be? Should there be just clone troopers fighting each other? Should it be bounty hunters maybe? I think that actually would make a lot of sense compared to having different factions. But well, there's simply a lot of questions that would have to be answered before a game was ever made with this type of gameplay style. And again, I really doubt that Lucasfilm would approve something like this. So this is simply an idea I wanted to discuss, because these are the 2 franchises slash games that I play the most right now. I would love to hear your thoughts about this. Those of you who have played Battlegrounds, do you think it would fit? And those of you who have never played a Battle Royale game, would you be interested in trying something like this out, but in a Star Wars setting? I would love to try it out, because I love these 2 games, but this might be a really bad idea. If it is, just let me know. But that was all for this video. Let me know if you enjoy these sort of different videos, I guess we could say. But thank you very much for watching, and as always, may the Force be with you.
Wee!